Dear students, in this video we'll discuss the formation of the placenta. Soon after the implantation, the placenta formation that takes place over here. How does it take place? From this diagram from NCERT we'll learn the things, right? So whenever the blastocyst that is attached to the uterine wall or so the endometrial wall, so that process itself is called as implantation, and after the attachment it completely embedded into the endometrium completely. So that moment already the endometrium itself becomes more secretory in nature due to the secretion of the corpus luteum, that is nothing but progesterone hormone, right? It becomes more glandular, more secretory in nature. It secretes water mucus continuously, right? This is the fact what you are known of, right? So then it produces, a tropoblastic layer that produces a finger like projections, and those finger like projections that you are observing over here, and they are called as chorionic villi or placental villi, they are called as. And these chorionic villi, so they are completely immersing into the maternal tissue, right? So these chorionic villi, they completely immerse into or dipped into the maternal tissue, so or the mother tissue, right, or the uterine tissue. When it is completely immersed, that moment it comes in contact with the tissue of the mother, so where it is more secretory, endocrine part, so this act as, why? Because it is secreting more and more things over there, especially the glycogen is produced over here, as well as the fat is secreted over here continuously by this layer. So whenever it is secreting, these are embedded into the maternal tissue, and later the maternal tissue, that is the uterine tissue, as well as these chorionic villi together form what? Functional or physiological connection between the developing embryo as well as the mother itself, and so that is nothing but the structural and functional unit between the mother as well as developing embryo or the fetus, and that is called as placenta. Remember, it is called as placenta. Now we came to know, right, what happens during the formation of placenta, right? And placenta does various number of functions, right? Placenta does various number of functions over here. So before that one, let us observe this diagram and what are all other extra things that are given over here. So let us observe it. What happens? So whenever the implantation that take place, that confirms the pregnancy. After the pregnancy, what happens? Placenta is formed, and simultaneously the development of the embryo is going on over here, and the temporal linkage between the developing embryo as well as maternal tissue is taking place, and it is called as placenta, right? So how the placenta is formed we came to know, and all other things other than the placenta, let us observe over here in this diagram. See here, four important things are there. One is yolk sac, second one is allantois. This is yolk sac, this is allantois, and chorion is there. This membrane itself, a red colored one, is called as chorion, and this one is inner to that one is called as amnion, right? So amnion, chorion, allantois, yolk sac. So these are new words that are introduced over here. Remember these, the first ones, this is second one, and the third one, this is fourth one. All these are said to be as an extra embryonic membranes. These are called as, or else these are also called as fetal membranes, right? So here one more thing we must remember. So this yolk sac is not so well developed in case of human being. Why? Because So the yolk itself is the nutritive tissue for the developing embryo. In case of non-placental organisms, this yolk plays very important. Why? Because that yolk is utilized by the organism which is developing. So that is very important point to be remembered. So but in case of human being, the developing embryo is not at all developing by utilization of this yolk present in the yolk sac. It is rudimentary, almost it is negligible one in case of human being. That's why yolk sac doesn't have any important role during the development of embryo in case of human being, right? So this point is also noted over here. So there are extra embryonic membranes, right? That is not mentioned in NCERT, but so in diagram it is being mentioned, right? Okay. Come to the next one, umbilical cord. What is this umbilical cord? So after the placenta that continues as a cord-like structure, and that cord-like structure, so which makes the connection between the placenta in the embryonic, in the mother as well as the fetus. That linkage is called as umbilical cord. It is called as, and this is uterine cavity, you know it better, and amniotic fluid. So the developing embryo is sailing inside, it is rotating inside or sailing inside the fluid called as amniotic fluid, which is present inside the amniotic membrane, right? Especially it is present inside the amniotic cavity. Amniotic cavity is completely filled with amniotic fluid, inside which the embryo is moving itself, right? So and so as I said, it is secreting, endometrium is secreting more and more mucus, right? And that mucus after pregnancy, what happens, that deposits in the cervical canal or in the cervix, and that becomes a plug of mucus in the cervix. That becomes a plug of mucus in the cervix itself, right? So these are all other things which are given in the diagram. And after this one, let us go to the functions of this placenta. What are the major functions it does? One by one we'll discuss. It helps in nourishment of, or you can write here, nutrition. It helps in nourishment of developing embryo. How does it help in nourishment of developing embryo? Is from the maternal tissue, since it is more secretory, it secretes glycogen as well as fat material, which is provided to the developing embryo, right? So through this placenta itself, hence it is, so it is acting as the organ which is nourishing the developing embryo. Nutrition is given by the placenta. And second one, respiration. As you know, in the placenta, what happens? The blood that comes to the placenta from the maternal tissue, right? So that blood carries the oxygen, and that oxygen is provided to the developing embryo through the placenta. Hence placenta acts as the respiratory organ in case of developing embryo. Why? Because there is no source of oxygen which is geared by this so developing embryo itself, right? That's why it helps in respiration, and it also helps in excretion. See here, the blood what it comes from the mother comes in contact with so the blood of the fetus, not directly but indirectly, and the waste materials which are produced as a result of metabolic activities in the developing embryo, they are all thrown into the blood of the mother, and the mother's blood itself excretes out the nitrogenous waste of this baby or the developing embryo itself, right? Hence it is acting as the excretory organ, right? Excretion it helps for. And fourth one is storage. it acts as storage tissue also. How it acts as storage tissue is because it stores the glycogen as well as more fat content, right? So that for the nourishment of the developing embryo, hence it is acting as the storage tissue or a storage organ, right? And it also acts as endocrine system. It also acts as endocrine system. Why it is acting as endocrine system? The question arises over here. Why? Because it produces many number of what? So many number of hormones over here. So hence it is acting as the endocrine system over here. What are those hormones? Very important one for each point of view. That's why we have to remember all the hormones which are produced by or which are provided by this placenta. Let us list out all those hormones now. So hormone number 1, it is HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. Human chorionic gonadotropins is one of the important topic hormone. It is, this is for human chorionic gonadotropin itself, right? What it does, it stimulates the corpus luteum to secrete more and more progesterone for the maintenance of this pregnancy, right? So it helps in stimulation of corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. This is the major function of this human chorionic gonadotropins, one hormone. And second one is also there, human placental lactogen. Human placental lactogen, HPL it is said as. So this hormone which help in production of or the formation of the mammary glands, especially the development of the mammary glands, it helps in. So during the course of the pregnancy, the development of mammary glands that take place due to the action of this human placental lactogen, right? So one more thing, and third one is relaxin. It helps in parturition. It facilitates parturition. So these are the three major hormones. Along with this one, estrogen is there, progesterone is there. Such kind of hormones are also secreted through this one. Along with this one, fourth one is progesterone, which help in maintenance of pregnancy, and estrogen. All these are the hormones of what? Placenta. So all these functions of these hormones, you know it better. So the HCG as well as the HPL. So these are new to us, and relaxin is also already mentioned by me in the previous classes, and its function is to facilitate parturition. Parturition is nothing but delivery of the baby during which. So during which it helps for, right? So these are the hormones of the placenta. Along with this one, additional hormones. Many number of additional hormones are also too essential for maintenance and a normal growth of the baby over here or developing embryo over here. So what are those additional hormones which are secreted over here more and more in amount by different endocrine systems, right? So those hormones are, so first one, remember here, progesterone is also essential, estrogen is also essential, I have already mentioned these two, and thyroxine and prolactin. Thyroxine is there, prolactin is there. So like this, such kind of additional hormones are also too essential to secrete more in amount, so as to maintain the normal growth of the developing embryo or the baby itself, right? So and so as to bring about some changes in the maternal tissues, right? So these hormones are too essential over here, right? So all these are the hormones of what? The placenta and their respective functions. So this is all about the placenta. Thank you very much.